Back here on the A-Team, it is a Monday afternoon. It is finally game week. It is the final game week of the season that is now complete and the playoffs that are now almost complete, with Super Bowl now awaiting everybody in Las Vegas. To that end, courtesy of BetOnline, our Shawne Merriman is joining us here on the A-Team. Shawne, you got Adam and Adam. I hope you can remember which one of us is which. Let me start with that aspect of it, if you don't mind, Shawne, the BetOnline aspect of it. Were you at all surprised after these two matchups were set a couple of Sundays ago that it was the Niners installed as about a 2.5-point favorite, and they've basically remained there?
Yeah, I was pretty surprised, to be honest. Well, first off, I thought the Ravens, I thought it would be a Ravens-Niners thing. I still believe the Ravens were the better team. But I am a little bit shocked at that 2 points there. I'm a little bit surprised.
So, what's an adjective that is accurately going to describe Brock Purdy? We hear him called a game manager. I know that's not an adjective, that's a noun. But what is a good way in your mind to describe Brock Purdy, quarterback, Niners?
A winner. You know what? I don't understand. I will take a winner over a game changer, game manager. Give me any other adjective you want to name. Call me a winner, right? Because that's what he's done. And I don't think we've seen this level of scrutiny ever by a quarterback that's playing in the Super Bowl in a couple of days. So I'm trying to wrap my head around it. It's like, John Lynch and those guys are getting penalized for putting together a good team. I've never seen anything like it before in my life.
Yeah, we've had that very same conversation. I definitely lean the same way that you are. I think he's also making winning plays, which is why the winner tag certainly fits, whether it was with his legs, which isn't a normal, but it certainly was this past game, or just putting the ball where it's supposed to be. There's a reason why the players he's getting the ball to are able to then make more yards afterwards because of how they're running things, and he's the one in charge of running all those things. And, a big picture with the Niners, is this team about as talented as any we've seen get to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then on both sides of the ball, sometimes you'll come and have a dominant defense. You might have a player or two on offense, right? You may have a guy that can go, but not on both sides of the ball equally as well, including the special teams too. They get it after on the special teams. So, like I said, more credit needs to go to John Lynch. And I know Kyle Shanahan's calling great plays. He's dialing them up. He has a scheme that fits Brock Purdy that's asking him to do things when it's necessary, right? Like making those elite throws. And you don't want to call him an elite player? Okay, he's making elite throws. How about that, right? And so it's almost like we're penalizing John Lynch for putting together this great team, but on both sides of the ball, they can beat you either way.
We're talking to Shawne Merriman here on Sports Talk 790, and by the way, you have one of the greatest nicknames in the history of sports, Lights Out. That's top 5 at least. But in that vein, you've seen a lot of football over the years. You've seen how the league has changed, and you've seen this playoff run of these two teams on this collision course. Which one impresses you more? Because I think both these teams have gotten to this point with sort of out of the ordinary paths to the Super Bowl. You had the Lions with the big lead over the 49ers in the conference championship, and you had a Baltimore team that I thought was probably the best team from wire to wire this year, just completely look outclassed by the Chiefs. So I guess my question would be, which one of these teams' run to this point has been more impressive to you?
I would say the Chiefs, because they're not as dominant as they once were. They don't have a number one wide receiver. Running back position, I love. He's great. He can go. But other than Chris Jones, their defense is playing well. But what names do they have? Like guys like Drew Tranquill, right, who came from the Chargers, kind of stepped up. But he's not a superstar, right? He's no Fred Warner. He's not, Patrick, not a Queen or Roquan Smith. He's not any one of these guys. But he's had 8, 9, 10 plus tackles last game and stepped up for them big time. And so the way that they got there has just been crazy to think about, because they've been dominant in the past, and this year they're not, and somehow, some way, they found their way to get back here again.
So let me ask you a question about the then San Diego Chargers and now Los Angeles Chargers. What do you think about old Jim Harbaugh running things for the Chargers?
I love it for a couple of different reasons. First of all, they needed to change the outfit there. They needed some big switch from Brandon Staley. I think that that excitement has been gone the last couple of years, and people are kind of shaking their heads and trying to figure out how he was still there after Jacksonville last year and then coming into this year not doing that great of a job. So there's been a shift in the fan base, the excitement, one. And then two, to be honest, Jim Harbaugh's had a history of coming in changing organizations. And by the way, doing it with far less talent than the Chargers had. The Chargers are loaded when it comes to talent, and they were just underperforming last year. So I think it worked out for both cases.
Was one side more disappointing than the other? Because I think you're totally right. Every year it seemed like they keep getting better players on both sides, whether it was for the Justin Herbert-led offense or the Brandon Staley defense, and it just didn't seem to ever click.
Yeah, to be quite honest, obviously being a former defensive guy, I was sick to my stomach, right, seeing some of that play this year. It just looked like you got a bunch of guys out there, and that's hard to say when you got Derwin James lining up on defense, right? Or Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, even Kenneth Murray, Kendricks. They were pretty locked and loaded with talent, and they just looked lost. You couldn't tell what team was going to show up that week, and that should never happen, at least on the defense side of the ball.
I guess if you said you were sick to your stomach watching it play, I guess I kind of have to get more graphic and ask, what were you on Thursday, December 14th, when they played the Raiders and gave up 63 points?
Hiding under the bed, trying to maybe looking how to deactivate my social media because I knew the Raiders fans going to light me up. But it was one of those things, honestly, and it's very. Let me tell you, it's very hard to get scored 60-plus points as a professional, right? You almost practically have to let someone score that amount, and you have to be okay with it. And I think it was a clear message to say that we're not playing for this coach anymore. It wasn't a talent base. It was just like, look, we are done laying on the line with this guy. He can't get through to us. We want him out. That's how I read that game, and they sure did it. That's what they were looking to accomplish. They accomplished it. And that led to Jim Harbaugh. So I would guess the only good thing came out of that, 63-point beating was they got Jim Harbaugh now.
We got Shawne Merriman joining us here on the A-Team Sports Talk 790. Of course, we're right here in Houston, and that means CJ Stroud is like topics 1 through 10 these days on the show. Just an electric rookie season that was obviously cut short by the Baltimore Ravens. As a defensive guy and one of the best to ever do it, what would be the biggest nightmare for a guy like you trying to prepare for a guy like CJ Stroud?
That he's young, man, and sometimes when you're young, you got this confidence, a thread, the needle. And see, it's like so many things he was doing this year. It wasn't like a rookie, man. Like the movements, the checkdowns, the progressions, him looking at stuff, throwing it away when it was appropriate. And so you would hope that he just does these rookie things, right? You show a blitz, some Hollywood-looking coverage, line up in the B gap, you rush a guy off the edge, or line up straight over the center, you drop in the middle of the field. You will hope to confuse him. He didn't do that. And so that's when I was like, this guy outside of athleticism, the talent, he actually knows the game. And that's the scary part when you're dealing with somebody that young, because they're only going to get better.
The talk with Shawne Merriman here, courtesy of BetOnline. And back to the Super Bowl briefly. Are you locked in for the halftime performance? Do you have a guess, a wager, if you will, on what's going to be played by Usher right out of the gate?
I think it's going to be like You Remind Me or something. What his first click, either that or something with Lil Jon, right? I think it's going to be something to have to get them going like right away off the top, right? It can't be too slow, can't be too laid back. It got to get people out the seats immediately. And those are only 2 songs that I can think of. He has 100, but those 2 songs I can think of, like, okay, let's get people out of their seats.
Yeah, it's probably a pretty good play, coming in at about 11-5 right now via BetOnline. I was curious as we swing back to Houston with when you entered the league and when DeMeco Ryans entered the league. Did you have any sort of relationship with him, whether getting together at a Pro Bowl or just in general?
Yeah, we would talk here and there, and always, the rookie events, the NFL events happen every year, the drafts. I would always run into him, and we would chop it up. But I'm so damn happy for him because what he don't understand, too, and maybe he does, he just opened it up for Gerard Mayo. He just opened it up for Antonio Pierce. He just opened it up to a lot of former guys, former players, to say, hey, we can do this, right? We can climb our way up the rankings like he did got his shot and turned a team that nobody, if you thought before the season that they were going to be playing in the playoffs, you can go but do all the bets you want on BetOnline. Nobody was betting that they had the season. And they did it with far less than what they're about to get. That team is about to get much better. He's about to be a much better coach because there was a couple things I thought they could have cleaned up this year in the coaching style. But he's just opened the door for so many former guys to have that opportunity to let other teams know that, hey, we can do it too.
Shawne Merriman here courtesy of BetOnline. You can check out BetOnline for the most diverse list of well over 1,000 Super Bowl props, including MVP, length of the national anthem, close to 100 Taylor Swift-related props, my personal favorite, first song Usher plays, broadcast odds, game and player stats, and so much more. Shawne, we really appreciate the time, and have fun out there.
You got it, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, Shawne Merriman here on Sports Talk 790. I'm just going to say it right now. I'm glad that guy is not in his prime playing against CJ Stroud because he's terrifying.
There's not that many guys. He brought up the name Fred Warner over the course of our conversation. Very different linebacker and more of a all-over-the-field dominator, and I think he's still super underrated. But guys that could do what Shawne did to wreck games both in the backfield and downfield and do a number of different things. There aren't as many in the league now, I don't think, than there used to be. I don't even think it's a matter of specialization, but just the kind of points out the talent level. At his best, there was nobody better.
Lights out is so appropriate.
It's the worst nickname if you're on the other side. Like, seriously.
Yeah,
that's like
he's
the
going
worst.
to turn them out for you. Oh, my goodness gracious. Yeah, that guy is one of a kind, and it was an absolute pleasure to have him on the program. All right, we will wrap up the 3 o'clock hour coming up next. Don't forget the good, the bad, and the ugly.